slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement.
Everything I do so instinctive and so passionate. Every word I move so descriptive like an adjective. I got a vendetta against people who patented being negative when you should be getting after it. I got facts over tracks, this and that. Spitting slow, spitting fast. I could roast, I could gas. Think I'm okay at last, but I don't know if that can erase all the past. And the pettiness, a reflection of the emptiness. Hilarious, you think you're worth my time, you're delirious. Mysterious, because you hide behind a fake exterior. Inferior, you know I'll always be a bit superior. Get off of me, this ain't no humble brag. I want you to hear words, you can say them back. I want you to feel free from the chains at last, and to believe in what you got, it was built to last, yeah.
Now that I've been put through hell, I never got anyone's help. I had to do it all myself.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement.
Gonna learn the consequence of being incompetent. Mental health is confidence, dreams and some modestness. I'm not here to save the day, that's for you to take away. I could play a million mind games, but instead I say something not illogical, something that is topical. Rub it on and watch it go, make yourself unstoppable. Dreams are irresponsible, but they're always possible. If you just believe, you could be so remarkable.
Thoughts in my head, a collage and they spread. I'll be great one day, going off of my meds. No, I'm not giving up, no, I'm not giving in. I will make it to the top, taking off in the wind. I gotta make it, I'm saving every day to taste it. I'm patient, but my mind, it can hardly take it. I'm chasing a dream that I've had for several ages. A vacant, modern kingdom for the taking.
Now that I've been put through hell, I never got anyone's help. I had to do it all myself.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up.
p.m. Annie wrote she had crept into the kitchen for water. A storm rattled the windows. The lantern light flickered across a metal kettle polished enough to reflect. She bent over, watching her face ripple. And then it happened. I blinked, but she didn't. My face stayed staring. Then she smiled, but I didn't. I dropped the cup and ran. Her entry ends with a single line. I will not look again. Mama was right. February 2nd, Annie has been restless, screaming of glass. Clara grows defiant, says we are mad with fear. Thomas will not speak of it. But the rules must hold. No mirror, no reflection. We cannot risk letting them through. The phrase letting them through has never been explained. February 4th. That night, Margaret was seen nailing cloth across the bedroom window. When asked by her cousin visiting from town, she said simply, "Glass doesn't keep things out. It lets them in." Her cousin recalled this in a 1912 interview, noting, "The look on her face, it wasn't a fear of a story. It was like she had seen it herself." February 6th. The Harrow farmhouse grew more tense. Clara swore she saw movement in the darkened hall. Though there were no mirrors to cast shadows, Annie refused to drink from metal pails, covering her eyes when they were brought in. Thomas grew harsher, forbidding talk of reflections at all. Neighbors later described the house as unnaturally cold, even with the hearth lit. February 10th. Elias Turner, the salesman who had visited weeks earlier, passed again. This time he refused to enter but claimed he saw something through the parlor window. I swear I saw 3 girls in there. But one of them was wrong. Her head moved slower than the others, like a puppet catching up. and when she turned, her eyes caught the lamplight like glass. February 14th, that night, Annie screamed so loudly neighbors heard it from the fields. When Martha rushed in, she found her daughter on the floor, staring at the covered mirror they kept hidden in the wardrobe. The cloth had fallen. The mirror was uncovered, and in it, Annie's reflection was still smiling, though she herself was sobbing. February 16th. Statement of Mrs. Kathleen Callahan. I brought poultice for the youngest's chest. The child had cried herself hoarse. When I crossed their threshold, I felt that chill, same as I always did there. I asked for a basin to wash, and Margaret put down a wooden bowl instead of tin. She said they'd put away the shiny ones. I asked the girl, Annie, why she feared a mirror so. She said, because it learned my name. I told her that mirrors know nobody's name. But the way she said it, quiet, certain, set my teeth on edge. Why would anyone invent something like that? Mrs. Callahan said she left at dusk and would not stay past the hour the lamps were lit. She later described the house as a place that had made a bargain with itself, no brightness allowed. February 17th. We have ash on the spoons now. Mother rubs it over the metal so nothing shines. Clara said we are becoming a story people will laugh at. But last night I saw the water in the pail tremble, though no one touched it. It made a little eye, like a storm, and right in the middle I swear I saw a mouth form as if to speak. The letter was never sent. It was found decades later in a Bible cover, folded and refolded until the creases were thin as thread. February 18th. Toward evening, Clara went to draw water. The family kept their bucket rope neatly coiled on a peg by the back door. The path to the well cut through a slope of winter-dead grass. Clara would later tell a neighbor she had not been afraid of old stories, only of the way fear made a house feel smaller. She lowered the bucket. The rope squealed wetly against the stone. Halfway down, the surface of the well water lit with a pale smear of sky. Clara leaned to check the bucket's angle. Her face hovered, a wavering oval, and then the reflection blinked before she did. Clara dropped the rope. The bucket plunged, slammed the surface, and dragged her forward. Only the rough ring of the stone lip stopped her. When she staggered back, the water stilled. She said nothing when she returned with empty hands. That night, according to Martha's journal, Clara refused to sit where the lamplight pooled in the table's shine. She pushed her bowl into shadow and ate without tasting. February 19th, we heard tapping from the wardrobe. Not from the door, but from behind it. 3 taps, then a pause, then 3. Annie said it was the same rhythm as her knocks when she plays merchant at the back door. Father checked the nails. Clothes held. We moved the wardrobe to the hall and leaned it face to the wall. The nails scratched the floor. Mother prayed. The family slept in the same room that night, the parents sharing the bed and the girls on quilts near the hearth. Thomas left the poker within reach. The lamp burned low, its chimney smudged with soot so the glass would not gleam. Just before dawn, Margaret wrote, she woke to find the lamp flame guttering. At the last moment before the room went dark, the thin glass of the chimney caught a perfect oval of Clara's face. Eyes closed, mouth parted in sleep, and then a second Clara, a fraction behind, breathing a fog onto the inside of the glass. When the light died, both vanished. February 21st, Turner, the traveling salesman who had twice passed the Harrow place, returned with a sack of tacks and a story to trade for supper. Thomas told him they had no need of tacks, only of prayers. Turner said he could provide neither but would share a fire. He would later tell a storekeeper. The girls were polite, but the little one never lifted her eyes. They set the tin cups aside and poured my tea into earthen mugs. When I asked if they'd sold their good silver, the father said, "We keep what we can't lose." I made a joke. "Afraid of catching sight of yourself, are you?" The mother said, "We're afraid of someone else catching sight of us through ourselves." That's a notion I never want again in my head. Turner slept in the loft. At 2 a.m., he woke to the soft scratch of nails on wood. Peering through a crack, he saw Annie standing at the wardrobe that had been dragged into the hall. Her hands were pressed flat to the backboards. Her cheek leaned close, as if listening through a wall. Then, from within, a whisper matched her breath. He turned his face into the straw and did not lift it until first light. February 22nd, Pastor Pike kept a slim ledger of visits. In the line marked Harrow Farm, he wrote, "Family anxious." Household altered. Scriptures read, Girl Annie Pale, refuses to drink from pail. Suggested Psalm 23. Mr. Harrow asks if there are verses forbidding mirrors. I offered none. Upon my remark that truth needs no hiding, Mrs. Harrow said, Truth is not what looks back from glass. When the pastor asked to pray in each room, Thomas declined the upstairs hallway. He said the boards were weak. In truth, he feared the wardrobe, which even faced to the wall seemed to make the air colder. The pastor left a pocket testament and a promise to return with blankets from the church women. He did not return after dark. February 24th. Household log, written in the margin of Martha's recipe book. 2 spoons gone, tin. A small mirror from a sewing kit, mislaid, then found in an ash bin. Bucket rope frayed, replaced. Annie's Sunday shoes were wet inside, left by fire. It was not that objects disappeared entirely. They moved. They were found turned upside down, or facing a wall, or damp as if carried across a threshold in someone else's hands. When Clara accused Margaret of hiding the small mirror to frighten them, Margaret swore on her mother's stitching hand she had not touched it. I would sooner burn my eyes, she said. Clara laughed once. It was not a kind laugh. Later that evening, her laughter caught in her throat, as if something had reached across the room and pinched the sound away. February 25th, wind from the east. Boards are loud. Lamps burn low. We keep cloth over the frames. Annie sits near Mother's skirts. Father checks the nails on the wardrobe again, though it faces the wall. Clara says she will prove this is fancy. She brings the thimble glass from the sewing box, the tiny circle she uses to see if her stitches are even. She sets it on the table and dares the room to show itself. The thimble spins once and stops. In its little window we all see our faces, drawn small as coins. Mine, Mother's, Father's. Then Annie appears, and behind Annie, Annie again, a hair behind, blinking. Martha swept the thimble off the table. It struck the hearthstone and rolled into the ash. She ground it there with her heel until the small window filled with soot. Annie did not move for a long time. When she finally looked up, her eyes watered as if she had been standing in smoke. February 27th. I urge us to extend charity discreetly to the Harrow family. They are not mad, only terrified. The father is a proud man who bends under invisible weight. The mother bears herself like someone who nurses an illness no physician will name. The girls, God keep them, glance at every pane as though it might open upon a street that is not ours. I recommend a practical kindness, blankets, a crock for water that does not shine, and company by daylight. I will not, cannot, be in their hall at night. February 28th. Annie sleep talks now. Not nonsense, our names. Sometimes ours are in order, sometimes in reverse. Tonight she whispered a name none of us bears. I could not write it after I heard it. It felt like writing, it would be like opening a door. The note is torn where the name might have been written. March 1st, 1887, by the 1st of March, the Harrow house had acquired a rhythm of fear. Certain boards sounded when no weight pressed them. A draft moved through rooms with no visible source. The wardrobe's back warmed slightly, like breath through wood. That night, Thomas woke to the soft measured pad of bare feet on the upstairs boards. He counted the steps, 9 from the far wall to the wardrobe, a pause, then 9 back. The steps were small, too light for any of his daughters, too precise for someone wandering in sleep. He rose with the poker. In the hall, the air pressed against his face, cold as a well. He put his palm to the wardrobe boards. They were slightly warm. From the other side, something put its palm to the same place. He kept his hand there until he felt the other hand lift. Then he went back to bed and did not tell Martha. March 3rd, Ezra was a teamster who took the narrow road on the north side of the Harrow field. In a statement given years later, he said, I was late with my wagon, no moon to guide me, when I saw a flicker in their upstairs window. Not a lamp, but a kind of shine like water catching firelight. I looked straight at it, fool that I was, and felt sick in my stomach like the ground had tilted. I thought I saw a girl raise her hand to the glass. But there is no glass there anymore, is there? They say they covered it. I don't go by that way after dark. No pay is good enough. March 4, I broke. I told Thomas we must send the wardrobe from the house. He said we would not feed the neighbors' talk with a midnight hauling. We argued until the lamp guttered. When I went to fetch more oil, the tin looked back at me and I nearly dropped it. I worked with my eyes shut, like a woman churning butter by memory. She added a line after the ink had dried. It is not the mirror. It is what a mirror permits. March 6th. Clara, who chafed at rules, who mocked what she feared because fear and pride are often kin, chose the worst possible moment to prove herself brave. She took Annie by the hand and led her to the kitchen. "It is a pot, Annie," she said softly, lifting the lid off the polished kettle that Margaret had scoured dull. "It is a simple pot." Annie shook her head, small and fierce. Clara tipped the kettle to angle the dim low light, showing a smear of reflection no clearer than a shadow in a deep spoon. "Say your name," Clara tried. "So what looks back knows who you are," Annie whispered. "No, say it," Clara pressed, and when Annie would not, Clara said her own, Clara Harrow, and in the same breath, the smear in the kettle lip formed a mouth that shaped the syllables a fraction late, like an echo that has learned to speak. The kettle clanged onto the stove. Martha came running. Clara was shaking too hard to hold the lid. She said only, "It said my name back." It said it the way I did. That night, Clara slept with her head under the quilt. March 7th. Thomas hitched the mule to the small cart and told the girls he would ride to town for lamp oil and coarse soap, the kind that left a film and dulled any shine. Martha sent him a note for Mrs. Callahan. "We are all too tired," she wrote. In town, Thomas did not tell anyone what was happening. He bought his oil and his soap and a length of rough wool to drape over the wardrobe when he found the courage to drag it out of the hall. He arrived home before sundown. In the yard, the wind had peeled one corner of a cloth from the parlor frame. As he nailed it back, his hammer face flashed and he flinched, as if he had seen an eye looking up from the iron. Martha did not laugh at him. She took the hammer and finished the nail. March 9th. By early March, two patterns had set in, the tapping at the wardrobe and the footsteps in the hall. On the 9th, a second sound joined them, the barest whisper of a second voice under the first, as if someone stood a little behind the main speaker and practiced the words a moment after they were said. When Thomas prayed, the second voice prayed with him, a syllable late. When Martha sang a hymn, the second voice hummed the shape of the tune and missed the notes by a finger's breadth. When Annie asked, "May I sleep by the fire?" the second voice said, "May I sleep?" and then did not finish the sentence. March 10th, we heard water, though no one poured. A sound like a ladle dipped and lifted, slow as if someone else's hand learned how. We followed it to the hall. The wardrobe boards were damp to the touch. When Father pressed his ear, he said he could hear the sea. I thought of our well and put my hand to the wood and felt the cool go into my bones. What do you do when the thing you fear appears to learn you? You make the house smaller. You stack chairs against the doors. You smudge every glinting thing. You talk in half sentences as if a full one might become a spell. The Harrows did all of it. March 12th. It was a Saturday. They had eaten early, bread, cured ham, apples sliced thin. The day had been gray and wet. The evening settled into a bright, unnatural cold that made the boards ring. Martha announced they would sleep downstairs again. Thomas lifted Annie, already drowsy, and set her near the hearth. Margaret banked the fire. Clara stood at the threshold of the hall, staring at the wardrobe like a person studying a covered portrait of someone they once loved and now feared to see. "Enough," Thomas said. "We will be watched in our own home no more." He gripped the wardrobe and dragged it forward. Nails shrieked along the floorboards. He turned it so its back no longer faced the wall but the family. The cloth he had draped over it, old wool from town, hung like a shroud. "Bring me the hammer," he said. "We will take it outside and burn it." Martha hesitated. "Not at night." "Now," he said. He stepped closer to brace the cabinet, and the hanging wool sank inward. As if a body had leaned against it from the other side, all four froze. "Thomas," Martha whispered. "Do not touch." 3 distinct knocks came from behind the wool. A pause. 3 again. Then, in a rhythm that matched the family's own knocks, the quiet call and answer they used when returning in the dark, the other hand answered. Clara made a sound that was not quite a sob. Margaret stepped forward before she could stop herself and lifted one corner of the wool to peek. "Don't," Martha said. "Don't let it see you." But Margaret had already looked, her face drained. She did not scream. She only breathed. "It is us. What do you see?" Thomas demanded. "Us," she said again, faint. All of us. Standing where we stand, only a little behind. From beneath the wool, from a place no air should move. A fog pressed through the weave and curled around their ankles, cold and smelling of well water and iron. Annie stirred in her sleep and whispered her own name. And a second Annie, now clearly heard by all, whispered it an instant later, happy, as if she had just learned the word and found it beautiful. Thomas seized the cloth with both hands and yanked it free. For a heartbeat, they saw their own reflection in the wardrobe's glass, dim, watery, like faces seen at the bottom of a cistern. And then each reflection blinked out of time with its owner, a fraction late, and smiled too widely, as if their mouths had forgotten how to stop. The glass boomed once from the inside. Like a fist on a coffin lid, the lamp went out. In the dark, something pressed two small, cool fingers through the glass and touched the back of Margaret's hand. She did not pull away. She could not. The wardrobe began to breathe. March 13th. We did not sleep. The wardrobe stood bare after Father tore away the wool. The glass was dark as water at night. I swear I saw my face in it, though the room was near black. My lips did not move, but hers did. She said a word I could not hear. I covered the glass with my blanket, but it swelled outward as if someone inside pressed back. We left it uncovered. Better to see than to guess. The entry is smudged where Margaret pressed the quill too hard. Later notes suggest she trembled while writing. March 14th. The Gazette recorded whispers of strange practices at the Harrow farm, though no journalist dared enter. A short column ran on page 6. Residents have noted that the Harrow family no longer keeps looking for glasses, having removed all such items from their home. Neighbors remark upon hearing unholy sounds at night, like voices repeating in echo. Whether this is mere superstition or something more remains to be seen. The article was unsigned. Locals later said the reporter refused to put his name beside it. March 15th. Clara had grown restless under the silence. Where her sister Margaret obeyed and Annie wept, Clara fought. That evening, while the family ate bread and beans, she announced, "Mirrors don't kill people. Fear does." Thomas snapped back, "Do not speak what you don't know." But Clara rose, crossed the hall, and touched the wardrobe glass. "See?" "Nothing," she said. The family held their breath. The surface stayed black. Her handprint left a faint smear of oil. Clara smiled triumphantly, but Annie whispered, "It saw you." That night, Clara dreamt of drowning. She woke up coughing water onto her quilt, though her throat was dry. March 16th, Mrs. Callahan, the midwife, stopped by with broth. She later gave a sworn statement to the county doctor. The house was darker than usual. No lamps, only fire. The youngest girl sat by the hearth, her lips moving, though no sound came out. When I leaned close, I heard her whispering names. Not her sister's names, not her parents'. Names I did not know. Then she looked at me and said, "You're next," though her mouth never opened. It was the mirror voice, coming from the wardrobe down the hall. Mrs. Callahan left without finishing her broth. She would not return. March 18th. While gathering wood, Margaret tripped over loose stones near the old smokehouse. Beneath them, she found fragments of glass buried shallow in the earth, dozens of shards, all face down, as though deliberately hidden. She brought one piece inside, wrapped in cloth. Under the lamplight, she saw not her own reflection, but Annie's, eyes open, staring back through Annie herself slept in the next room. Margaret dropped the shard. It cracked into smaller pieces. In each, Annie's face blinked, 5 times, in perfect unison. March 19th. The wardrobe glass has begun to show more than ourselves. Tonight we saw the kitchen table, though we stood in the hall. A second fire burned within the reflection. Our own house, but not. The girls in it were not us. Annie's double waved, but her hand bent wrong at the joints, like fingers bending backward. Clara screamed. Thomas struck the glass with the poker, but it rang like a bell and did not break. March 20th, near dusk, a traveling preacher knocked. He introduced himself only as Brother Aaron and claimed to have heard of their trouble. Thomas refused him entry, but the man insisted, "I can cleanse a house." I have seen spirits of glass before. Martha begged to let him in. Thomas relented. Brother Aaron sprinkled salt across the thresholds, muttering verses half from Scripture, half from some other tongue. He stopped before the wardrobe. "Cover it," he ordered. Thomas obeyed, but the cloth ballooned outward, snapping the tacks. The preacher staggered, clutching his chest. "It already knows your names," he gasped. "You've waited too long." He fled before dawn, leaving behind a cracked vial of oil. He was never seen in the county again. March 22nd, Martha found sketches in Annie's diary. 3 girls held hands, but their shadows bent in opposite directions. Faces with eyes too large, pupils spreading wide as ink stains, a tall figure behind them, head featureless except for 2 gleaming ovals like mirrors. At the bottom of one page, Annie had scrawled, "They want us to trade places." March 23rd, a distant cousin, Samuel Pike, recalled hearing the story from his grandmother. She said she passed Harrow Place one evening and saw 2 Annies playing in the yard. One skipped rope, the other stood still. She thought it was just the light until the still one vanished when she blinked. My grandmother never lied. Why would she invent something like that? March 24th, Thomas announced he would smash the wardrobe. He fetched an axe from the shed. Margaret pleaded, "What if it comes through instead?" But Thomas lifted the axe high. The blade struck the glass, yet the surface rippled like water and swallowed the steel head whole. Thomas yanked it back, but the axe came free clean, the metal eaten away to a blunt stump. Martha wrote, "It will not be broken. It wishes to be opened." March 25th. At midnight, the wardrobe flared with light. The family gathered unwillingly, drawn as if by a tide. In the glass, they saw themselves around the table, only older, haggard, with eyes black as pitch. The doubles lifted their hands in perfect sync, except Annie's, who lagged half a second behind, smiling too wide. Annie cried, "They're waiting." The glass rattled in its frame. From deep within came a sound like nails on wood, then a voice, soft but clear, "Step through." "We've been patient." The wardrobe exhaled a chill so sharp the fire guttered out. The Harrows stood frozen. Margaret later wrote, "It is not that the mirrors lie. It is that they remember us wrong and wish us to join them." By late March 1887, the Harrow family could no longer dismiss the truth. The reflections had learned their names, their movements, even their thoughts. And then came the night the doubles stepped forward, forcing the family into a confrontation that would become the most terrifying part of the record. March 26th, the wardrobe glass opened inward like a door into water. Shapes formed, our shapes, moving a beat behind. They looked weary and hollow, but they smiled as if they'd been waiting. Father barred us behind him with the poker. He shouted that we would not be taken, but the glass breathed cold and the other Thomas lifted his own poker in reply. Only his was rusted and bent, as if it had been there 100 years. Witness accounts from neighbors confirm the Harrow farm erupted with noise that night. Dogs howled. Lights flickered in the upstairs hall, though no lamps were lit. Inside, the family argued in whispers. Martha, "Do not look. If you look, they'll see the way in." Clara, "They already see. They know us better than we do." Thomas, "This ends tonight." Thomas struck the glass again, but this time the surface didn't ripple. It shattered outward, shards flying across the hall. Yet none cut the family. Instead, each piece hovered mid-air, catching torchlight, though no flame burned. In every shard, a Harrow face blinked, eyes unblinking, mouths wide. Annie screamed, "They're loose!" March 27th, I heard a crash like a tree splitting, then a scream, high and sharp, a child's. I ran to my window. Their upstairs glowed white, but not from fire. It was like moonlight boiling. I swear I saw 4 shapes in the glass, then 4 more behind them. I told my wife we'd not step outside. We prayed until daylight. Inside the house, the shards rained back into the wardrobe frame, resealing the glass hole. But something had changed. The reflection no longer lagged. Every movement was mirrored perfectly, except the smiles, too wide, never fading. Martha pulled Annie into her arms. Margaret clutched Clara's hand. Thomas whispered, "They're waiting for us to open the door again." But the door never shut. It stayed ajar, a sliver of darkness breathing through. March 28th. Clara, furious at living in fear, whispered, "If they want me, let them take me." She pressed her palm to the glass. Her reflection pressed back. For a heartbeat, she felt flesh, not cold. The reflection smiled and mouthed, "Switch." Clara yanked her hand away. But afterward, she claimed she felt someone breathing at her shoulder, though no one was near. Margaret wrote in her notes, Clara no longer casts a shadow where she stands. It clings to her reflection instead. March 29th. Pastor Pike, who had vowed never to return, admitted he came once more after hearing neighbors whisper. The house smelled of damp stone. I saw the wardrobe down the hall. Its surface moved like black water, and I saw faces, pale, too close. The youngest girl whispered to me, "They are asking for you too." I left my testament at their hearth and told them to burn it if they must. I could not stay. I will not go back. March 30th, Thomas finally dragged the wardrobe into the yard. He doused it with lamp oil. His daughter stood shivering, Martha weeping silently. He struck a match. The wardrobe caught, flames leaping, crackling into the night. But the glass didn't melt. It glowed brighter, showing their own faces screaming soundlessly inside, and then, from within the glass, a hand pressed outward, charred, blistered, but alive. Thomas dropped the torch. The wardrobe didn't burn to ash. By morning it stood untouched, smoke curling from its hinges. Martha wrote, "It cannot be destroyed. It can only be opened." April 1st, 1887. At dawn, Annie was found standing before the wardrobe, her hand on the knob. She whispered, "They said it's cold there. They said we should help them come out." Her reflection blinked out of sync again, smiling, nodding. Martha slapped her hand away and dragged her back. But Annie laughed, a sound too low for her small body. April 3rd. The reflections speak now. They call each of us in turn. They say we belong to them. They say they are the true Harrows, and we are only shadows. I fear they are right. April 4th. That night, Clara vanished. Her bed was neatly made. Her shoes stood at the foot, but in the wardrobe glass, her reflection remained, smiling, waving from the other side. Annie screamed, "She stepped through!" Thomas struck the wardrobe again, but Clara's reflection only laughed. Neighbors reported hearing a woman's laughter carrying across the fields, though the Harrow house was dark. As dawn broke, Margaret noticed something terrifying. Clara's reflection was no longer alone. Behind it, Annie's reflection grinned too, though Annie herself stood trembling beside her mother. The wardrobe door creaked wider, inviting them in, and the Harrows realized it wasn't just Clara who might be claimed next. By April of 1887, the Harrow farmhouse had become a prison of shadows. Clara was gone, swallowed into the reflection world. The others lived in fear that their turn was coming next. What they discovered in those final days revealed the truth of the mirrors, and why the Harrows had hidden them for so long. April 6th, Clara is gone. I call her name and only the glass answers. Thomas says we must go to town, but the neighbors already whisper. If we tell them, they will think us mad. If we hide it, we will die alone. Margaret asks what price was paid before us. I cannot answer her. Annie cried through the night. When she slept, Margaret swore she heard her sister whisper Clara's name from both her mouth and the wardrobe at once. April 7th. Ezra, the neighbor, later told the county clerk, "I passed their field near dusk." The house was dark, but in the upstairs window I saw two girls. One I recognized as Annie. The other, well, her mouth smiled too wide and her head lagged a blink behind. I turned away quickly. I wanted no part of that. April 8th, at the kitchen table, Thomas declared, "We cannot let the others through. We must find the source." Margaret remembered the shards buried outside. She led them to the smokehouse, where more glass fragments were found beneath the soil, layer after layer. As though generations had buried broken mirrors there, an inscription was scratched into one piece. "Do not let them in." They trade places. The truth became clear. The Harrow family had hidden mirrors for decades. Each generation fought the same battle. April 10th, Margaret discovered a wooden chest buried beneath sacks of grain. Inside were letters from Thomas's grandfather, dated 1832. "We sealed the glass because it remembers. It does not forget what steps before it. If the door opens, it will not close. We must live without reflections, or we will lose ourselves." One letter ended. "It is not the mirror that copies us. It is us who copy them." April 12th. At midnight, Margaret awoke to Clara's voice outside the window. She rushed to the hall. Clara stood in the wardrobe glass, pale, eyes black. She whispered, "It's warm here. Come with me. It's better than the cold." Margaret reached out before she could stop herself. Thomas pulled her back. The glass rattled, booming like thunder. When it stilled, Clara's reflection was gone, but the wardrobe door now hung wide open. April 14th, Thomas prepared to smash the wardrobe one last time. He bound rope around it, dragging it into the yard. He struck with an axe, hammer, poker. Nothing broke the glass. Then the surface rippled and showed a new scene. The Harrows themselves, kneeling in the yard, hammering at the wardrobe. The doubles looked up in unison and smiled. Thomas dropped the axe. "We're already in there," he whispered. April 15th, Annie's diary, the last entry. "They said it must be me, because I saw it first. They wait for me. They say my name is theirs. I am tired of being cold." That night she vanished from her quilt. Only her small shoes remained. In the wardrobe glass, Annie's reflection waved goodbye. April 16th, Margaret begged her parents to leave the house. Martha refused. "If we leave, they will follow." Margaret argued, "If we stay, we are already theirs." According to later testimony from neighbors, the Harrows were seen loading a wagon at dawn, but they never reached town. April 18th. The wardrobe breathes louder now. Margaret swears she hears Clara in every board. Thomas has gone silent. He stands before the glass for hours as if bargaining. Tonight the door opened again. "I fear he will step through. If he does, we are all lost." The entry ends mid-sentence. April 19th. Smoke rose from the Harrow place, but no fire burned. I went near, fool that I was. The windows were black as tar. In one I saw the whole family standing still, though the house behind them was empty. Their eyes found me. I swear they smiled. By April 20th, the Harrows were gone. No bodies, no luggage, no trace of departure. Only the wardrobe remained in the hall, door ajar, glass dark as a well at midnight. Neighbors refused to touch it. Eventually, the county sealed the farmhouse and left it to rot. By April 1887, the Harrow family of Tennessee had vanished without a trace. No bodies, no luggage, no farewell. Only a wardrobe with its mirror intact remained inside their abandoned home. But the Harrows did not disappear quietly. What followed in the decades after suggests that some reflections never stopped looking back. April 21st, 1887. County Report Sheriff James R. Collins filed the final note on the Harrow disappearance. The house was found empty. Doors locked from the inside. Wardrobe intact, glass undamaged. No signs of struggle. All belongings present. Family presumed missing. Possible voluntary flight. Privately, Collins told his deputy, "They didn't run. They're still in there, staring at us." This remark was later repeated by his grandson in a 1962 interview. Neighbors refused to touch the Harrow belongings. The county attempted an estate sale. Every item was claimed, quilts, chairs, tools, except the wardrobe. When buyers approached it, the glass pulsed with condensation as though someone had breathed against it from the other side. One man swore he saw his own reflection wave. He left the house without claiming his money back. The wardrobe was dragged to the cellar and sealed behind bricks. 91. Kathleen Callahan. The midwife gave a statement to her parish priest before her death. "I saw them again. 4 of them. The girls at the upstairs window, Thomas by the hearth, Martha in her rocker. But the house was empty. I know because I walked inside. Dust on every board, cold in every room. Still, when I looked at the black glass, they were all there, smiling, waiting." The priest dismissed it as grief, but he recorded her words carefully. 02. The new owners. The farmhouse was purchased by a family named Weller. While renovating the cellar, workers broke the brick wall and uncovered the wardrobe. They claimed to hear water dripping through the glass was dry. One worker, Elijah Grant, disappeared the following week. His tools were found neatly stacked, his wages untouched. The Wellers resealed the cellar. They sold the house within the year. By the 1920s, the Harrow story had become a cautionary tale in Jackson County. Parents warned children not to look into standing water after dark. Teenagers dared each other to walk past the old Harrow farm and say their names aloud. A schoolteacher, Miss Rose Abbott, recalled, "One boy said Margaret Harrow 3 times at the well. He swore the water blinked at him. That night his mother said she saw him standing at the window, though he was asleep in his bed. The farmhouse remained vacant. The wardrobe stayed in the cellar, gathering dust." 52. Researchers from Vanderbilt University interviewed descendants of neighbors. Audio tapes preserved their voices, Don't go near that land. The Harrows traded places. That's why no one found them. They said if you walk past at night, your reflection lingers a step behind you. Why would anyone invent something like this? Too many people saw. One tape captured a faint knock in the background. 3 knocks, then 3 again. The interviewer insisted no one else was in the room. 77. A group of local teens broke into the Harrow farmhouse, which by then was collapsing. One brought a camera. The surviving photograph shows a dim hallway, floorboards broken, dust everywhere. But in the wardrobe's glass, 5 figures appear: Thomas, Martha, Margaret, Clara, and Annie. Their eyes shine like silver. Their mouths are open as if calling out. The negative was examined by experts. No tampering was found. The photograph was quietly removed from the county archive in the 1980s. Its whereabouts remain unknown. 87. On the 100th anniversary of the disappearance, a local newspaper ran a feature, "The Harrows, a family erased by glass." The article sparked interest from paranormal investigators. 2 men entered the ruins of the house with recording equipment. Their tape, preserved in fragments, contains this exchange. Investigator 1, say your name. Pause. Static. Investigator 2, I swear something just whispered mine. 3 knocks heard. End of tape. Both men refused further interviews. 2003. When the farmhouse was finally demolished, construction crews found the wardrobe still intact. They reported that it was heavier than any wood should be. Against instructions, one worker wiped the glass clean. He claimed to see his daughter standing behind him. But she died in 1998. He left the site immediately. The wardrobe vanished before county storage could collect it. No record exists of who took it. 2015, a viral video briefly surfaced online, filmed by hikers exploring the abandoned field. In the shaky footage, the camera pans across weeds and stone foundations. For a split second, a dark rectangle appears, glass upright in the grass. 3 girls can be seen on its surface holding hands. One turns her head a fraction late. The video was deleted within hours. Accounts that shared it were suspended. Locals still avoid the land. Children cross the road rather than glance at puddles after rain. Taxi drivers refuse to stop near the property line. An elderly resident, interviewed in 2019, gave the last known testimony. It doesn't matter if the house is gone. What looks back from glass doesn't need walls. The Harrows are still waiting. If you see your reflection blink too late, don't answer. Don't wave. Don't smile. Because that's how they get through. The Harrows never left Tennessee. They traded places. And if the stories are true, they are not bound to one farmhouse, one wardrobe, or one well. They exist in every mirror, every dark window, every still pool of water, waiting for someone to look too long, waiting for someone to answer back. The end.